Um, it's by a guy named Gary. Um, oh my gosh, it left my brain. Floyd, Gary Lynn Floyd. I knew it would come. And there's another video that you can watch on YouTube where he actually is playing and singing. And it just his whole demeanor when he's singing, you just feel like he really means that. And so it's one of my favorite songs. But it also is part of what we need in order to find calm, which is what I am going to be talking about today. So, in order to find calm in your life, you have to have peace, you have to have love. But sometimes those things are really hard to come by when with all the chaos that's going on in the world. I came in here today and Bill and Merlin just told me all the stories about things that were happening right now and how, how chaotic it is. And it is really chaotic. The energy is very chaotic. And if you are sensitive to energy, like Bill is, like I am, like Ramdaya is, you feel those things, they're happening. And so it's hard to let go of that and just say, okay, it's all right. Everything's going to be okay. But how do you convince your body of that? That's a tough thing, especially when we have things that happen to our body that are crazy. How do these things happen? I don't know. I've had my share lately. And I really don't know where it's headed. So what I've been trying to do is to make sure that I stay calm, that I have peace in my life, that I have love in my life, that I'm not reacting all the time. And I'd like to share some of those techniques that I have with you. But first of all, I want to take you back to a time when I didn't know how to do all that. I had just started going to the Center for Spiritual Living, having not been a churchgoer my entire life, since I was 7 and we could go into the Catholic Church. I had no spirit, no connection, no nothing. All I could do was raise my family. That was all I was capable of doing, supporting and raising my family. So I met my husband, Dwight, and that's when I started to open up to spirit and become more aware. So I was starting for the first time to go to church again. And they had these classes it was called Science of Mind 101. So I go take Science of Mind 101 and oh gosh, that was awful. I couldn't understand it. It didn't make sense to me. Why would I want to read this dry stuff? It just didn't make sense to me. So then they came up with a class called Practical Mysticism. That sounded like fun. I was doing energy medicine at the time. I didn't really feel the energy, but people kept saying, well, just do it. Eventually you'll feel it, and I thought they were nuts, but okay. So I was following all the protocols and doing everything I was supposed to do, but not really feeling it. So I took this class, and one day I'm at home and I'm reading my assignment with my husband. He's sitting there reading. He was an AA guy, and he was reading all of his stuff. He was always reading AA stuff. And I really appreciated that about him because he worked his program. And so he was very spiritually minded and went to Course in Miracles and all kinds of stuff. So anyway, we're sitting at home and we're reading. And here it says, and remember that all who enter that consciousness enter the spiritual realm of freedom and harmony. You will now undertake a work before you leave your homes in the morning to go about your daily activities, whether they be shopping, taking care of business, profession, or teaching. You will remind yourself of this truth, that you have died to your human sense, that you have been reborn through the word, and that your consciousness is constituted of the Word of God. As you leave your home, you carry God's grace with you. Everywhere you go, everywhere you walk, run, or ride. All who enter your consciousness during the day, whether they be storekeepers, friends, students, patients, sometimes enemies, must feel the power of God, which is stored up through your years of opening yourself to the Word of God, truth, and now constitutes your very being. God, truth, is the fiber of your being, searching even to your bones, the marrow, the joints of your body. Well, obviously, that didn't apply to me because I had not been doing that. This was all new to me. But the minute I read that, I was filled with spirit. I had no idea what was happening to me. And it was exactly as it said there, where it was the fiber of your being, searching even to the bones, the marrow, the joints of your body, everywhere, completely filled with spirit. And I said to my husband, I don't know what this is. This is scary. What am I supposed to do with this? And he said, well, just sit there and experience it. It'll be okay. Well, yeah, but well, what if it never goes away? And he said, oh, it'll go away. He said, it'll go away and you won't know how to get it back. Oh. And that was so true, and it took me years to figure out that I needed to come back and read this paragraph and what it was telling me. Why was I being filled with that energy at that moment? It was because it's my purpose in life to bring the energy of spirit along with me wherever I go and share it with whoever that needs it. But I didn't know that at the time. It took years. Oh, I don't know. Maybe I worked a few years doing energy work. And all of a sudden, I'm working with somebody and I'm doing what they call muscle testing, because that's how you had to do it if you didn't feel the energy. You had to find out where in the body the problem was. Well, instead of doing the energy testing, I just held the person right here and heard in my head what was wrong and what I was supposed to do. And from that moment on, I no longer needed to do energy testing because people would come in to my space and I would look at them and know what they needed. Of course, I didn't tell them that. Not everybody wants to hear that you can just see what's wrong with them. But I don't look unless I've been invited or asked to look. But so things changed a lot. But I still hadn't come back to this point of wanting to make that energy available to everybody. And then my husband became homebound. I became his caretaker. I was his caretaker for about 7 years. And so my practice kind of went, because you cannot help others when you're not, when half your brain is somewhere else. My brain was always there with my husband. Oh, does he need me? What's he doing? I shouldn't be here. I should be with him. So I just gradually stopped doing it. After he died, all of a sudden, I'm channeling spirit. I didn't ask for that. I didn't know I was going to do that. Where did that come from? Well, it's part of what I'm here for. It's my purpose in being here. But I still had to learn to quiet all that outer noise. So I'm going to share with you a few things that you can do to help yourself quiet that outer noise, the other energy, whatever you want to call it, so that you can have that pathway to calm so you can do what you're here for, whatever that may be. I don't know. It's exciting. So I'm going to share with you something that happened maybe about 10 years ago. I went to the dentist. Big deal. Had to have my teeth cleaned. I got there and I sat in the chair and I panicked. I couldn't open my mouth. I couldn't let her do her job, to the point of tears. And so they said, They sent me home. They rescheduled the appointment, sent me home with a prescription for Zoloft. Okay. So the next time I came in, I took my Zoloft. I had to take it an hour early, had to be driven there. I couldn't just go myself. And it was fine. She cleaned my teeth. Everything's fine. I did that twice, 2 different times. And then I thought, M.E. Bartholomew, put your money where your mouth is. You don't believe in drugs. Why are you taking a drug to do something silly like go to the dentist? There's something else going on here. So I thought about it and I thought, oh, well, this is what in energy medicine we call reactive energy. In other words, I'm reacting inappropriately to a stimulus. The stimulus was the dentist, and I was just having a terrible time with that. So I thought, okay, so what do we do for reactive energy? We do a mudra. You guys know what a mudra is? It's a hand position from Indian, East Indian, Ayurvedic or whatever. Anyway, so I thought, oh, okay, well, I can do a mudra before when I go to the dentist. So I get my books out and I look and I find the reactive energies pose. So we're going to do it together. So what I want you to do is put one hand up in the air. And then I want you to bend down your index finger and put your thumb on the fingernail. There you go. You got it? Do your other hand. Bring your index finger down and put the thumb on the fingernail. I call this the Zoloft mudra. So you can keep doing it, but there's more to it, except I didn't use it. There's more to it. What you're supposed to do is put your fingers here and then your thumbs on your temples, and you're just supposed to close your eyes and breathe, and and the reactive energies will go away. Well, I couldn't see myself doing that in the dentist's office. How's he going to get out my mouth to do anything? So I thought, well, I'll just try this half. So I went to the dentist and she said, you take your Zoloft? And I said, no, I'm going to do a mudra. A who? Well, a calming hand position. And she goes, oh, okay, whatever. So I sit in the chair and I put my arms on the armrest and I did this. And I opened my mouth. She's working on my teeth. And all of a sudden she goes, Emmy, what? Open your mouth. Oh, okay. So I open my mouth. She goes to work on me again. And pretty soon she said, Emmy, what? Open your mouth. I was asleep. So I thought, I think I've done enough of this. So I stopped and she was able to finish what she was doing without me falling asleep again. And after that, I never took Zoloft again, because this works not only for the dentist, this works for a lot of things. And the only thing I would suggest is don't use it in the car. Because you're probably going to fall asleep, and that would not be good. So it works for a lot of reasons. Let's say that, you have to take a test and you're just really nervous about the test. You go, whatever. You do this and it calms you down. You don't want to hold it too long once again, because you want to be able to take the test. Okay. So there's lots of times in your life when this might really help.
I have a question.
Yes.
Do you need to take some time with some breaths with it at the same time, or do you just
I didn't.
lock in?
Actually, I didn't, but I would imagine that would make it work even faster.
Oh, okay.
Because the breaths really do help when you're doing anything where you need calm. So now I'm going to tell you about another thing that you can do to calm yourself. Let's say that you're going for a job interview and you're really stressed, and you get in the office building and you're just really stressed about this. And here's what you can do for it. Put your one hand on the rib cage. For women, we say below your breast. I don't know what we do for guys. The bottom of your ribs. So, and then you put your other hand on the outside of your elbow. So there's that soft spot right up, where the funny bone is. You got that? Okay. So then you just hold that. That's called the Valium hug. Now, I didn't name that, but there seems to be a drug related naming procedure here. I don't know what it is. Anyway, the other thing that you can do when you're doing this is kind of rock yourself. You know how we rock babies and it calms them. Well, the human body never stops loving being rocked. So if you rock yourself, it'll calm you. Then you can turn and do the other side. There you go. And let's say that you're maybe in the store and you're late to work and you're trying to get something and the person in front of you drops all their credit cards on the floor, and you're just really stressed. Okay, so you do this hold and rock yourself. Nobody knows you're doing it. You look like you're bored to death. And you just rock and it will calm you. Um, I this morning, the last few days have been crazy for me. I got a phone call from some friends that we're going to go see Bread and Gravy at the field hall, which sounded like it would be very, comfort food type of music. That's what I thought. Well, it wasn't. It was the music was excellent. They had some wonderful musicians, but there is a big screen back there, and they had created this play, and it was very disturbing. At the end, they're singing Alleluia, which is beautiful, fantastic version of it. But on the screen and back behind them, they've got photos of all the bombed out places in the world right now. And there's a lot of them. And I thought, there's a reason I don't watch the news, because I can't handle those pictures being in my head. I remember after 9/11, I didn't watch the news then either, but I happened to be in the airport when they were showing the people jumping out of the building and just floating down. And it was like watching paper float. I couldn't get that out of my head for a long time. And so here's these photos of all these bombed out places in the world. And I'm sitting here voluntarily exposing myself to this. Why am I doing this? Well, fortunately, it was over and I could leave. But when I left, then I needed to calm myself. And so I did the Valium hug. And it does really help you calm down. I kept thinking, well, it must end on a happy note, but it never got there. And I thought, well, it was kind of like a history of the world, and I'm going, well, how can it end on a happy note? What's there to celebrate in the world right now? Well, we're still here. We're still loving each other. We're still being kind. We're still sharing our love with the world. That's not changing. We know that things are changing right now. So best thing we can do is stay calm and just spread love. There are many more techniques you can use. To me, those are the most effective and quickest. But there's also, what do you do when you're stressed out? Anybody?
Like myself, I have angels.
You have angels. All right. I like that. Oh, yeah, I like that.
I'm more tactile. So in this moment, all's well.
All right. In this moment, all's
So
in this
in
this moment, all's
all's
well.
well.
All right. Okay. Well, there's also music. For me, music plays a huge part in my life. And so if I listen to uplifting music, that helps. How about walking in nature? Yeah. Playing with the grandkids. Yeah. There's lots of things that you can do, but they aren't necessarily immediate wherever you are. You know, you don't have your grandkids with you when you're stressed out at the grocery store or wherever you are. So these are techniques that you can use at any time you want to. Meditation is the other one. I so appreciated that prayer that preceded mine. I was going to do meditation, but I felt like we'd already gotten here with the prayer, with the breathing, with everything that Prem Daya did, that we didn't really need to do another meditation. That felt like a meditation. And so I was very happy to be here with you all for that. So now what I'm going to do, which I have not done yet because I'm still learning about this my purpose and how do I invite spirit in to be with me before I go out the door in the morning. Well, I forget. That's what I do. I forget. I forget I'm supposed to do that. So I'm going to put a sticker on the front door so that before I go out, I go, oh, yeah. I've got to do that. I have a prayer that I've been using for a long time that I use for that. So it's just asking spirit to be present, to fill me with the healing energy of the universe, to make that available to anybody and everybody that I come in contact with, and to send love always. And so that's pretty much what I do. It doesn't have to be fancy, it doesn't have to be a lot, but that just sets me up to know that, hey, I'm doing what I'm here for. All right. So we have a song today.